Hey everybody, Neb and Muse here at the top of another episode of O&A Detox. I know it's been a while since we issued a content warning, but I wanted to issue one here because this week's episode is especially egregious when it comes to some very in-depth discussions about suicide. Very detailed, very belittling jokes at the expense of people who have attempted or committed suicide. And even halfway through the episode, a caller calls in and discusses the possibility of committing suicide over the air. So it's really rough, and I just wanted to make sure y'all were mentally prepared for that. And if you are a listener and struggling with suicidal thoughts, remember the 988 suicide hotline, as well as the American Psychological Association's website, apa.org/topics/crisis-hotlines. The links will be in the description, so you should be able to click those from YouTube or Spotify.
And if you're not comfortable texting a hotline or calling a hotline or seeking what people consider professional help, I urge you all to reach out to people in your circle. You may not think you have a circle, but there are people out there who do care about you, including us, though we might not be as accessible as friends or family or people in like your Discord server. But reach out to people you feel safe with. And if you're in a good headspace, reach out to people who might be in a bit of a murky headspace. Just stay connected with people because too many people feel alone. And you're not alone.
Oh, hi there. Didn't see you there. It's O&A Detox time. Once again, you snuck in on us. Good thing we're decent, am I right?
I mean, you might be.
Yeah, well,
I'm not.
Well, I may, as far as they know, I might be.
Oh, yeah, you could just be in your pajamas right now. You could be in your onesie with your butt out.
That's the beauty of radio and theater of the mind, as we've said.
That's true. I'm wearing a period accurate Victorian hair sculpture around my neck.
Ooh.
That's made from my ancestors' hairs into a locket that when you open it, it says, "This is O&A Detox."
Wow. A locket? Like locks of hair?
They actually used to make jewelry out of hair.
Yeah. And I'm wearing a big old top hat, and I have my headphones on around the top hat, like they extend super long.
Yeah, I never knew that they could stretch that much.
Not like a Doug Dimmadome from fucking Fairly Odd Parents, big old hat.
Oh yeah.
But like an Abe Lincoln stovepipe deal.
Oh.
With actual like smoke coming out the top.
Yeah, I was worried for a second. I wasn't going to say anything, though.
Well, I'm not going to tell you where it's coming from either, so y'all are just going to have to figure that one out on your own. We're still stuck in 2008, my friends!
Let us out!
No, not yet. I call it an investigation. It's not. We're just kind of...
Investigation?
I based it loosely on when Knowledge Fight went back to 2015 to try to figure out when Alex Jones decided to, like, be pro-Trump.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah. Where was the switch flipping?
Exactly, yeah. So
I see.
That's basically the investigation we're heading down. The simultaneous sagas of the Obama campaign heading into the November election and the effects that has on Anthony politically and racially.
Yeah.
And also the Antolini saga as to where that's going to go.
Wait. We're still talking about that pasta couple?
Luckily, they don't come up in this episode, I don't think, at all.
One true pasta? Or one true pairing?
Oh.
Huh?
I like it.
Huh?
I dig it.
You don't even like pasta.
Well, I don't like Antolini either. That's just on principle, though.
Yeah.
So, much like 2022, where we're at currently here, 2023.
Excuse
me. No! I wrote this in 2022!
Oh, wow.
Oh, fuck. The script and episode are already dated. I want to pull the curtain back for y'all, a little inside baseball. I've been listening ahead to so many episodes that I'm like 4 episodes ahead of material. So for me, this is like way back. So we're almost on the equal playing field here.
You've laughed me.
I haven't listened to it in a minute. Much like 2023, one of our major complaints the boys have in 2008 is gas prices.
What?
You remember the gas prices and inflation of 2008 and how the economy took a shit.
No, I never drove, so I have no idea what a gas is.
Oh. Well, a little bit of personal insight for this. I remember, again, working at the old right-wing conservative news station I was interning at. During our air shift, we were actually taking phone calls throughout the episode about people letting us know where the cheapest gas was.
Oh, did you make a map?
No, but whenever I got a tip, and they were almost always from South Carolina because of course they were, I'd slip a paper over to Hancock and be like, hey, got the cheap gas in South Carolina. I know everyone already knows this, but you might want to read that.
I've never driven. Even I know.
I shouted them out like WoW sightings. Remember that?
That's what I was saying. Like, was there a map?
Ago? No. Anthony didn't run over and put a push pin in on the map.
You could have.
Opie asks at one point, what will it take before we have a full-on revolution? Which is interesting.
What prompted that comment?
Well, they're talking about how gas prices are at about $4 at this point.
Oh, okay.
And that they're looking at being about $4.15 soon. They're talking about gas prices. They're talking about what we can do to prevent a revolution. Anthony has a suggestion.
Uh-oh.
I really do think we have to kill environmentalists.
What?
I think they have to be killed.
Was that on Hitler's list?
Huh. Probably. He might have got that from there. Now, Anthony's being hyperbolic here.
Sure.
He's exaggerating for comedic effect.
Yeah.
Now he dials it back to what he actually wants to say.
So that we can drill for oil everywhere.
How about the oil executives? They're the ones who are jacking the prices up. They're the scum. Kind of what's wrong with me?
But like OPEC is raising the price, because they're not supplying enough oil. So the price per barrel goes up, and that isn't really the oil company's fault. I mean,
it is, because they would never sacrifice any kind of profit for the betterment of the country ever. They're garbage. And I'm sick of every American president holding hands like a girl in the garden with these animals. I'm tired of depending on them. Can we just stop dealing with these pigs and start working on our own an alternative energy source? It's not that difficult. All right, we could. Come on.
So a couple things in that clip. Jim, again, is in this time period anyway, sort of a liberal counterweight to Anthony's sometimes borderline extremism.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to point out here is when Jim says, I think it's here.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, he says, what's wrong with me? It's weird. It's a weird thing Jim does where he realizes he's talking like liberal things.
Yeah.
And has to like call himself out.
Wow. Compared to these fuckers.
Jim isn't really going out on a limb too much, but compared to Anthony, he definitely he fucking sounds like a radical sometimes.
Yeah.
Really, at this point, the only thing Anthony cares about is gas prices. There's plenty of people now that are the same way. That there's a bunch of shit that...
it affects them specifically.
And Jim brings up alternative fuel sources. They don't really touch on it too much here. Jim just kind of throws it out there, and Anthony just goes, and that's about it. But Anthony drives an Escalade, which is a big old fucking gas
I hadn't
guzzler.
heard that name in forever.
They still make them. And
they still, like, new ones?
Yeah, I think so. And a Shelby, which I think is it's like a Mustang, I think. I think it's a Mustang variant.
Mustang, Shelby.
Mustang Shelby.
Yeah.
We all know Mustang Shelby.
Yeah.
We always see her at the local drinking hole. Am I right? Gas guzzler. Drinking gas, maybe.
Is it because she's a hole?
Oh, no. I already regret this.
Yep.
Now I gotta
You walked right into that one.
Into the hole? Did you hear my throat?
A tiny panic in there.
I hope it picked up on the mics. So Anthony has expressed specific views in this time period, and they're mostly libertarian, though he hasn't yet labeled himself as one. He's pro-choice, only because he doesn't care what women do. He's pro-gay marriage, only because he doesn't care what queer people do. His viewpoint on climate change is a bit more complicated. He seems to understand that something is affecting polar ice caps and whatnot, but doesn't understand the cause of climate change, and will say he doesn't believe in it. On numerous occasions, Anthony suggested drilling everywhere and anywhere on Earth there is oil, regardless of the surroundings, inhabitants, or wildlife. It ultimately comes down to Anthony not caring about anything besides how much he's paying in taxes. He claims to be okay with the concept of paying taxes, not even questioning where his money is going, as long as he doesn't end up paying more.
Well, I mean, taxes aren't going to be the same every year. Like, there's going to be decreases and increases. Most likely just increases.
Yeah. And that might be one of his main concerns about Obama being elected, even though the main thing he says is he doesn't want his guns taken away. Even though at this point, I don't think Obama has said anything about taking guns away. As for the animation festival...
Wait, what? What animation festival?
You don't remember the animation festival?
For the election?
No. Oh, and they were promoting an animation festival that listeners were making cartoons based on audio from the show and everything. The plan was to have the cartoons on a free website for a limited time before listing them to iTunes, which at this point is still kind of a new thing in general. Of like,
didn't you have to pay for everything you got off there?
Yeah. I think videos were like $2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So $2 for like a minute and a half video. Yeah, that's great. But it's like you get it in like the master quality though. You're gonna
and you can just have it forever.
Exactly, yeah. If you watch it on their YouTube, it's going to be compressed like all hell.
Yeah, it's not like these days where you, like, spend $4 on fucking Paul Blart Mall Cop on Amazon.
To rent.
To rent, and then you can only watch it, like, once within 48 hours, and then it's not yours anymore.
Yeah. Lawyers are saying they have rejected a few of the videos and need to review them all before they are listed for sale, which set the boys off wondering what could be the problem.
Oh, I wonder what your audience could have come up with in 2008.
The answer may surprise you.
Is it fucking terrible?
No.
No, okay.
No.
No? Borderline problematic?
We'll see.
Stop with the censorship.
What the fuck are they rejecting?
I don't know.
This is satellite fucking radio.
I'm sending my prerequisite nagging emails.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear which ones it is,
and
if it's
why.
one or more.
You know what?
And then the dumb fucking reason why.
Opie is fuming and getting angrier as producer Steve C., that's who we heard in there talking about sending a nagging email, can't get a hold of anyone from management. Most likely because XM is currently in negotiations with Sirius for an upcoming merger. And the future employment of XM higher-ups is uncertain at this point. O, A, and Jim all speculate which cartoons could have got rejected and why. They assume it could be one cartoon where Patrice says the N-word, and the boys dogpile the hypotheticals as they wait for an answer.
Isn't Patrice black?
Yes. Yeah, Patrice was black, so they just thought maybe the N-word could get them in trouble. There's one cartoon where, like, there's a hint of genital mutilation in one of the cartoons, so they speculate maybe that could be it. And eventually, one of their interns or producers actually just speculates maybe it could have been in the music that's in the videos. We can't get cleared for copyright reasons.
Yeah, that would be a lot easier.
And Anthony goes, oh, god damn it, why did you have to remember that? Because immediately that derails everything and everyone immediately feels silly for thinking it could have been possible censorship.
They wanted it to be... They wanted to feel so targeted.
They absolutely did.
But they're just so They didn't even think about it.
If you could have heard the fervor, the absolute fervor, the frenzy they whipped themselves into over this.
Yeah.
Only for someone to say something extremely logical and for them to just go, oh, yeah, maybe.
It's like when you see like a video of like a Karen going into like a convenience store and they say, oh no, we can't give you any gas. And she's like, why not? Why not? Is it because I'm white? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, we're out of gas.
Yeah, it always jumps to the most like, and now what do you do with all that energy? Now you're all hyped up.
Oh man, there are so many times that I see like a video of a Karen or like just somebody, like some dude Karen that's just like stirring up a fucking mess, and then the people like harassed, like they leave the situation. I'm just like, yeah, what happens with that momentum? That's sort of scary to think about.
Yeah.
Like who is next in their line of fire?
Right.
You know?
Legal rejected most of the video reviewed due mostly to music usage.
Okay.
So we have a list of the ones that got, I printed that out for you, but I'll print it out again, of the ones that did get approved.
But it's not about content or being too dirty?
No, it's not about content. Okay. It's about copyrighted material.
We find out 5 days later.
Yeah, why weren't we told this before?
Yeah, we'll find something else to be mad at. Yeah.
It's the way he says it. Yeah, we'll find something else to be mad at. Yeah.
Anthony has commented that small things can send Opie into a rage as simple as something like the phone system's not working properly. So Anthony's little sarcastic, let's find something else to get mad at, felt like legit passive aggressiveness and wanting to get back and move the fuck on with the rest of the show, because a bad mood could sometimes take Opie out of it for a whole day.
I mean, that's relatable.
It's interesting, yeah. Something will happen early in a show, and it'll just derail the whole thing. And Opie just can't mentally get back into it, and he just gets fixated on it. They just came back from the FM portion of the show, and this could have been the whole XM side of the show if they didn't realize early, luckily, that, it's because one of the cartoons has the Ecstasy of Gold song from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And one has the Warner Brothers. So there's a whole bunch of different things.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that would be...
You never know. You can never play... You can never be too careful. So I do agree that, yeah, maybe the lawyers or whatever should have looked into this a while ago and not kept O&A waiting 5 days wondering what the fuck was happening.
And also maybe before they even, like, started the whole campaign.
Yeah, look into whether or not we can get away with copyrighted material.
Yeah, is there a way that we can, like, remove it from some things?
Yeah, like if we know right away, we could let the person who made the cartoon know. They could re-edit it. So that's ultimately what they have to do with some of them to get them listed onto iTunes, or to just not listed at all. I really don't know what they end up doing, if they even end up posting them or not, because I don't ever hear them talk about it again.
What's interesting to me that I just now thought about is people are sending in fan videos.
Yeah.
And then O&A and all them are just going to turn around and sell them for their own profit?
Yeah.
That's shitty.
Yeah, isn't it?
Like...
They must sign something. If the lawyer said, no, we can't post them to iTunes, I imagine it would have been a huge fucking deal, and I would have heard them just rage about it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember ever hearing them say anything about, oh, they're now up for sale, or some of them didn't make it, or something like that. But I do wonder.
Yeah.
If the people who actually made the cartoons got a cut of the action or not. John McCain pops up on the TV, and he isn't looking good. Opie is convinced Obama has the presidency in the bag, as McCain is down in the polls, and he is worried the debate might end up looking like Kennedy and Nixon in 1960, where Kennedy was like the super presentable, good-looking guy, and Nixon was the sweaty, nervous mess. Anthony is hesitant to mention it, but he says he is concerned some nut job from the Midwest might try to assassinate Obama should he be elected. It's funny to me that Ant completely discounts coastal states in this hypothetical attack.
I was just going to say, the Midwest specifically?
Opie is correct in not believing there will be an attempt on Obama's life, but Anthony has insider info.
Ew.
He asks if Ope or Jim have seen what people are saying on white supremacist websites.
What? Why is he on white supremacist websites?
When Jim says no, Ant jokes, I'll give you my password, but goes on to say the stuff he's been reading was scary. In years to come, Anthony starts name-dropping a website he admits to checking daily called nwordmania.net that thankfully no longer exists. It was a message board for racists.
I mean, there's still plenty of them that exist.
Not
now.
this one.
Not that one. That one got.
Luckily, not
Somebody.
this one.
I don't know how did that domain get through.
I guess it's a .net. I guess it's different. Rules are different. I don't know.
There's no thing that's like. We'll see. I mean, if it was like by black people, then like.
Oh.
Yeah, they should be allowed to do that. But there's no way to like tell.
It's not that.
Yeah. It's not this. I can assure you.
It wasn't that. Yeah, I don't remember when Anthony starts talking about this, but it's probably after Obama gets elected, if I had to guess. It's a very weird thing to bring up. He absolutely did not have to say that.
He really told on himself.
The things I've been reading are scary. Where are you reading this?
And define scary.
Anthony is saying that he's worried, not that someone might assassinate the president. He honestly doesn't really care about that. He's more worried about the backlash and outcome that might have. Anthony is convinced that if Obama were assassinated, the oncoming race war he's super paranoid about might come to pass. So 3 hours is a long time to fill. Luckily, online lists exist and are easy to come by, and the boys kill time discussing movies that make men cry, or as Anthony calls it, men having fag moments.
Uh-oh.
This is the Anthony's Dad portion of the show, folks.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
You ever play catch with the old man?
What? Yeah, catch what he's throwing at the wall. That's about all I fucking play catch with my dad. I don't remember ever playing catch with my dad or anything.
You ever have a moment with your dad, you and him? Maybe it's not a sports thing?
Yeah, I remember when he smacked me in the face for stealing quarters so I could get ice cream sandwiches because I was starving.
But why were you starving?
Because there was no food. Because all the money went to beer and to pay for the horses' hay. So I was starving, so I went into their room and grabbed a bunch of quarters and got a box of ice cream sandwiches and ate them. And then he asked me if I stole the quarters when I was in the truck. And I said, no. And he goes, okay. Whap! He smacked me across the face. He goes, that's for taking the quarters. Whap! And that's for lying about it.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, but I was hungry.
And you did it for survival. That's a good diet,
Yes,
by the way.
I was very hungry. I ate an entire box of ice cream sandwiches. I was at the age where you could do that.
How did he know you stole them? Did he smell your little lactose farts? Your little milk farts?
Because there was no one else there. My brother and sister weren't out there yet. So it was just me in the house. Who took it? The dog?
He says his brother and sister weren't out there yet.
His story on this is so inconsistent. I'm having a real hard time figuring out.
It's the Charlie meme again. Like, where?
So after Anthony's mom and dad got divorced,
Split up.
his dad moves out to California.
Where was
And
his mom?
She just stayed in New York.
New York, okay.
And I guess just takes Anthony with him, but not his brother Joe and not his sister Dawn yet. They eventually make it out there.
Are they both older than him? Or younger?
Joe is older, Dawn is younger. Anthony's the middle child.
Why is that so weird to me? That the middle child...
And not Joe?
Yeah, you would think
Yeah.
it'd be either the oldest or the youngest.
Yeah, I don't know why Anthony was chosen of the three.
Was he chosen, or was it the kind of thing where the kid was like, no, I want to stay with dad?
I'd be really surprised if you would want to stay with a guy like that. But
Fucking, that kind of relationship is weird.
yeah, I
you never know.
honestly don't know what the situation is there. I'll keep an ear out though, because I know they all eventually do make it out there. Not great with money, Aunt's dad. Just spending money on beer and hay for the horses, because if you'll remember, they're California cowboys.
That's right.
Playing the little cowboy fantasies, riding horses and wrangling.
So wait, his dad's probably not from California?
I don't... That's interesting. I don't know where he came from originally. It definitely seemed like the thing to do once he got out there, though, so maybe that was something he did growing up. I don't know how he would know all this shit about horses randomly if he didn't grow up around them. So maybe he did.
Maybe. Yeah, I wonder.
And the New York life wasn't for him, so moved out to California and got to live out his cowboy shit. And yeah, maybe it was like, I'm gonna teach my kid, who I'm concerned is a wuss, gonna man him up.
Do you think, God forbid, that at some point Anthony dressed up like a little cowboy when he was a kid.
Oh, god damn it, I know he did.
Those are pictures?
No, but he said he did.
Is this why you hate little kids dressed as
He was going
cowboys?
to fucking school in cowboy boots. Motherfucker.
I will say, I went to school in cowboy boots when I was in elementary school.
Elementary school? Oh.
I've ruined our relationship by telling you this.
There was a dude I saw at work in cowboy boots. I know that's not in dress code.
That's funny.
They're like halfway up his fucking calf. They're huge. They look so weird on a uniform.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They stand out like a sore thumb. It's like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to.
I mean, once
but
again,
that's weird looking.
that was like me in elementary school. I insisted on wearing those cowboy boots with everything.
Oh.
It was cute. For me, it was cute. I wore this. Okay, I think maybe our school librarian had lost her like daughter or something.
Oh no!
And so she gave us a bunch of those clothes. And some of them, one was a red dress that was sort of like an old Western kind of dress.
Oh, wait, did she pass away?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. Lost her daughter.
I reacted in a way. I did not mean to react like that. I meant to react as if like, oh no, she lost her and then she came back. I didn't, because I was about to make a joke that she gave y'all lassos, and if you saw her.
What the fuck? What is this story you told yourself?
In a matter of seconds.
When someone says lost somebody, when does it ever mean they're missing?
You put up the full page picture on the...
Wanted, dead or alive.
And then handed out lassos and 6-shooters.
I just thought if they lost them in the context we're talking about, it wouldn't say wanted dead or alive. It'd say wanted alive.
Please.
Please.
Only alive, please.
Only alive,
no
please.
reward if dead. Oh, so no, you inherited Western gear?
Yeah, and I wore that shit all the time. That was like a comfort outfit for me. That was,
okay.
It was cute, and I was a cute little cow person.
Okay.
So if you saw me, you would have been like, "Aww."
It's definitely how you wear it.
You would have said, "Aww."
I would have. No,
Say "aw" now.
Aw.
Say yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
No, why'd you say it like that?
I sounded like the roller coaster.
I'm gonna buy you some cowboy boots.
No.
What if I did? What would you do?
Well, like I said, it's about how you wear it. Kids annoy me.
Cowboy boots are so gay.
What I know.
Like
when kids walk around in cowboy boots.
It's the way they walk. It's the way.
That fucking annoys me. Like they're walking around like fucking old timey sheriffs, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, they walk around like
authority
they
do
own
you
that
have?
Home Depot. Walking around behind Dad like, "Daddy, we need some of these paint stirrers."
Get your head out the display toilet, they would say.
Daddy, get your head out the display.
Kid slams the lid down on old Pops' neck.
Daddy. Daddy.
I'm thinking of California, but now I got to think back to New York, and we used to go fishing in some old beat-up rowboat outside of Northport, and I used to get seasick all the time. So me and my brother and my father went fishing, and he rowed the boat all the way out, like into the Sound, and we dropped the lines, and I started getting sick, and I was crying, of course, because all I did as a kid was cry, and I had to lay down. And he was using some kind of crabs for bait. Yeah. And I woke up and there were crabs crawling in my hair. And I had like, big afro hair. And they were just crabs crawling around in my hair, live crabs. And so what did I do?
Cry.
Yes, I started crying again the second I woke up. Crabs in my hair. And he said, shut the fuck up. I was such the little fag. I should have been gay.
I don't know where that line of thinking is. But that is something Ant falls back on, is crying is gay.
Crying is gay, and I should have been gay.
Crying equals
Which
gay.
may or may not mean some things now that I'm adult.
It's not too late, is the thing.
Like, why? Okay, if you think crying is gay, and you quote unquote should have been gay, what stopped you?
Yeah, well,
We know, and it's not a hypothetical question. It really is. Your dad beat the crying out of you, and you might have thought beat the gay out of you?
anything your dad perceived as gay or effeminate, you got punished for.
Yeah. Eating ice cream sandwiches, gay.
Honestly, the things Anthony talks about, anything that you did that was anything like a child would do.
Being a child, gay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like research and stuff that points to adults who abuse their children with like physical violence and stuff like that. It's often because they are like you're a dad and you're seeing your kid being mischievous, stealing quarters and eating ice cream sandwiches. That's a pretty kid thing to do.
Yeah.
And you see them do that and you're like, well, when I was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to have any of that. My dad would have beat me like six ways of Sunday or whatever the fucking phrase is. And so it's like, well, that's not fair that my kid gets to do that. I didn't get to do that. And then they just can't control their big emotions and they take them out on their kids.
Yeah.
Oh, he would smack me in the head.
Why
you know,
smack
what are
him?
you doing?
Duty cookies.
Stop crying. Knock it off. It was like, knock it off or I'll give you something to cry about.
It is such a common thing for parents to say to their kids.
Yeah.
That's like, you're literally threatening violence on your kid. And if they think it's credible, you've probably already hit them before.
You had to have.
So like,
Yeah.
you would think that it's died out by now. That like hitting your kids, people think it's like some vast spectrum of like, oh my God, it's not like I fucking killed you. It's not like I drove you into the ocean. It's not like I'm not that kind of parent. All I did was like spank you. And it's just like, you're still hitting a kid. And do you think that it teaches them anything?
Yeah, what could it? Besides to not like you.
Yeah, like to fear you and to be super obedient to you and probably lie to you.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand what people think, why people think that it's still okay to some degree.
Yeah.
Like,
What results has it proved that you thought, oh, well, this works? I
Yeah.
must pass this down.
exactly, it is like a passing of the torch kind of thing where it's like, well, I got beaten as a kid. I had to pay my student loan, so everyone
Yeah.
else has to. It really does just teach your children to fear you. And
Yeah.
what good do you think that does?
That's gonna fuck them up in every aspect. It's gonna fuck them up in relationships.
Yeah.
That's gonna fuck them up at work. Anyone who could potentially have power over them and use that and exploit that, they're gonna realize they can and probably will.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's sort of. So you know how sometimes you'll hear about stories of like, oh, a little girl in school was getting bullied by a boy, and then the parents will just be like, oh, he just likes you. And like I used to think that it just sort of started there, where it's just like kids being kids. But no, I really think it does come back to the parents of just like the parents are showing their care by being abusive.
Yeah.
Because this mother is being like, and I understand that it's a very complex issue, especially in like non-white like communities, because I don't know if this girl was doing things that could have encouraged like discrimination or racial targeting. I have no idea what the context is. It was still abuse though. But like the act of care by being like, I'm gonna have to whoop you so that you don't do that thing. Like if your kid is like trying to run up to cops and like harass them or something, like, and they're like 6 or something, and like they're like a little black boy, you know, like who knows what could happen from that. And so I understand that a lot of parents are just coming from a protective,
Like they're scared for the kids, so
Yeah.
that's how they express it.
and but they don't realize that it is not teaching them anything but to be afraid of their parents.
Yeah.
And to probably be shitty to whatever kids or like youngsters they have in their future.
What you're saying right now, Opie asks the question about the, hurt people type
Oh, yeah.
scenario. Opie asks them.
That's what he used to say.
Are you a hitter?
What?
I'm just asking.
I don't hit anybody or anything. I don't hit. I'm such not a hitter. I'll choke a bitch. No, I don't.
Now, I know what he's going for. He's going for a little joke, but I included it because he...
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly.
That is part of the reason he was arrested for domestic abuse, was alleged strangulation.
Like,
So,
it sounds like he's getting down to the semantics of it rather than the do you hurt people. It's different to be do you hit versus do you hurt?
Yeah, that would be the question to ask.
Yeah, because you can hurt somebody physically without hitting them.
Yeah.
Like, you can jerk their arms out of the fucking socket.
Oh, yeah.
You can, like, pull their hair out. You can scratch them, you know, like...
I mean, he, at the very least, one thing we can say for sure and not put allegedly before it, is he did admit to biting the fuck out of that woman's hand.
No, I don't hit at all.
Yeah. Is it because of your upbringing?
I don't know. I don't think so. I used to get smacked pretty good. Pops used to, wield a pretty nasty belt at times when, we'd do something horrid, like it was 9:05 and me and Joe were still talking, brothers communicating at 9 o'clock at night.
Because they're excited to be alive.
Hey, because you're a kid and you're sharing a
and you're
room.
excited about
maybe you want to talk to your brother about just bullshit.
Yeah.
But no, Dad has to come in and smack you with a belt for communicating with your brother. That's nice. So I'd cry. Joe would just kind of, blow it off and go, whatever.
Whatever. We'll be out of this mess soon.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But it all comes out in the wash, 30 years later. Being afraid of violence so much that you have a gun on your person in the house. And
is that what do you think it is?
It is?
That I'm afraid of violence that was around me
Sure, you've
in my upbringing, but that's family violence.
Doesn't
That wasn't.
matter. It's not
it wasn't,
rational.
But it wasn't. No, it is rational. It wasn't violence from an outside source. I could see if, like, I was mugged at some point in my life, I would be paranoid like that. But seeing violence between my parents, that would just kind of make me cry.
It's not about the your father would beat you, would scare you. It's not about who the violence came from. It's about this fucking scary, out of control fear of being hurt. It's like it's the same fear. It's just now it's not your family, but it's outside things. But
now it's those people.
Yeah. But it's just terror of being hurt or being out of control and being hurt.
A few similarities we're picking up here from the episode with Ron.
Yeah.
Jim is doing some out of character, real talk shit.
Yeah, his voice is a little different.
It's a little different. And do you hear what Anthony's doing? Again. Making it a joke.
He's like,
Trying to deflect.
I am not willing to... Wait, when did the Ron was more
That was
more recent.
2016.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 8 years after this. He's just wanting to deflect. And
Yeah.
it is true. This comes up in recent episodes I've listened to. Not recent, but I've listened to recently from the same month or time period. That it's all starting to make sense. That the whole gun obsession or whatever is just about security.
Yeah, but like...
He just wants to feel safe.
He was trying to make it seem like, that was my family, which is different. So, but your community when you're a child starts with your family.
Yeah, what else do you know?
Starts with your family of origin, whatever that looks like. Your grandparents, your blood parents, your adoptive parents, your older siblings, whatever your family of origin is. If they're abusive to you, then you learn the world is not safe. It doesn't mean that specific person is not safe. It means that the person that I should trust the most is not safe. Therefore, the world is not safe.
Yeah, why would it be then?
Yeah, you generalize it, and you see threats everywhere.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does.
And if you let people close, they're still threatening to you.
Anthony's the kind of person, he doesn't just see threat everywhere. He looks for it actively.
And that's the thing, that a lot of abuse survivors will be hypervigilant.
Yeah.
And they will look for threats where a quote-unquote normal person, somebody who has not been abused, will never even consider a threat.
Right.
You haven't cried since your girl left?
No, I'll be completely honest with you. No, I didn't. I think the last time I really cried was when my father died. Oh my God, that was like 1994, 95.
That's when we first started working together, and you kind of blew it off.
No, I just didn't show.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant.
And I had to wait like 24 hours because I didn't want to get upset in front of anybody. So I had to wait 24 hours after I heard. Like, I had to do everything, and then I had to go home and be alone.
Why didn't you cry in front of people?
Because who was there to cry in front of Jennifer? Ugh. Wasn't going to do that.
Sorry.
Here, cheer up.
Try to be respectful.
Have a sip of my drink.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I hear there is I'm not safe with Jennifer.
Yeah, I couldn't let my guard down. I couldn't cry in front of my wife for show emotion because she wouldn't have been compassionate. I had to hide myself away from everybody, including my wife.
So knowing how abuse survivors tend to perpetuate cycles of abuse without realizing it, they seek out similar people to their abusers. And I've speculated this before. I'm wondering if there were some aspects of abuse from Jennifer.
Right, yeah.
You know, and how that if that might be true in some way, like how that might have manifested. Like, it could have just been verbal. It could have just been belittling.
It definitely, from the stories he tells in the late 90s episodes I was listening to, there definitely does seem like a controlling aspect. And it's hard to parse, though, because so much of the culture of the show is just men wanting to do men things. And these naggy bitch wives. So it's hard to pick apart what is just... the old ball and chain back home. And what goes that extra step further.
Yeah.
Because he's only going to talk about so much. He's going to talk about what could be, beneficial for the show, what could be a conversational thing, but anything that's, like, remotely, like, legitimately troubling, he's not going to want to talk about that because there's no comedy there, But there's nothing to really joke about.
Like, there could be. If you embrace it, there can be comedy in being a survivor of something.
Yeah, and he doesn't really, even in hindsight, he doesn't really talk about it too much. Like, he'll just talk about how, she was sort of a mess, how she seemed to probably be an alcoholic, probably...
Like his dad?
Yeah. That they at least had intense verbal fights. I don't know about physical fights, but I've never heard about those, but
like in some ways he could have felt like he needed that.
Yeah.
He needed that verbal sparring to soothe the part of him that was so used to it.
That if things are going too well, that's not comfortable.
Yeah.
He is more comfortable in traumatic environments than he is with comforting environments.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that he says that he used to cry all the time as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if that was true or if it was just, the typical amount of a kid crying and his parents were
it was made a much bigger deal.
You cry all the time because you know how people can be.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just like overgeneralize, especially if it's about their kids, and just be like, "Oh, you did that all the time," and it's like, did I?
Yeah.
Or did it annoy you so much that you just remember it the 2 times it happened?
Exactly.
I hate people that won't acknowledge their own sadness because they think that it's fucking mad. It makes me. It's so irritating that they won't acknowledge it because it's phony and it's going to come out one way or the other. No, it's not though. It's not you though.
I do acknowledge my sadness.
Yeah, you do. You're not a macho asshole.
Well,
you're
macho.
closed up.
Pierce from Whackbag. Pierce from Whackbag has a new nickname for you. Uncomfortable throwing in jokes to avoid a real moment, Anthony.
That's me. Always has been.
Yeah.
Make another joke, funny man. Cover up those tears.
My mother pointed out to me one time we were watching some sad show. And I said some obnoxious comment. I was young, I was 12 or whatever. And she said, every time there's a sad moment, you have to make some kind of an awful remark. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's that. It's the end of that story.
Yeah. To call her a bitch. Yeah, I know.
Nah, I took
bitch.
it. I knew she was right.
She was right and made you feel all silly, uncomfortable. Did you get hot? And go like, she's right.
Dude, I escaped, man. My sex addiction is so bad. It's like just jerking off to avoid feeling anything. It's so silly. I finally.
But aren't you feeling jerking off?
Nah, it's numb.
That's not no.
Nah, it's fucking numbness.
You shoot and you don't even care. It doesn't do anything to you.
It's
Who gives a shit?
Done it a million fucking times. I woke up a couple weeks ago. I just sat in the bed and fucking cried. But it's like, so what? It's human.
Jimmy.
I don't feel bad. I don't care. I don't feel different or unique or bad. It is what
like
it is.
Like the bad lieutenant.
It's not quite that dramatic.
But Jimmy Tarr.
I'm weak.
What is it called again?
What, emotionally vomiting?
Yeah, I like that term.
Because it's going to come out, or it's going to get pushed down so far. It's going to come out in rage or a fucking stroke or putting your fist through a windshield. It's not going to just sit there.
Right.
It's like a shit. So it's like I'd rather just get it out healthy.
There's a reason why it's called processing your emotions and like digesting your emotions and like letting them come out in a way that is you can't hold your shit in.
Yeah.
Like it's
hard to. Jim is a weird case because like we've spent so much time on Anthony, and Opie doesn't really open up too much, so we don't really have too much opportunities there. But because we're jumping into 2008 and Jim has been there since 2000, there's a lot of understood shit about Jim that we haven't really listened to yet. One of them is his sex addiction. He also kicked, he has an addictive personality. It is out of character for him to be the analyst role that he's taking here with Anthony.
I think it's sort of telling. A lot of times when people have addictive personalities and like have addictions, they just sort of chalk it up to just simply having an addiction rather than what's his name again?
Jim Norton.
Jim. Yeah. What he's saying, what he's sort of implying is that what is fueling his addictions is something more emotionally deep.
Yeah, he has expressed, dealing with depression and stuff like that. That could be leading to all of that,
Yeah, a lot of people tend to point to trauma as the catalyst to addictive personalities or addictions.
Yeah.
And it's like, that makes sense. I thought it was also interesting how he pointed out that, like, my sex addiction and just jerking off and just like, he's like, oh, but I mean, are you feeling jerking off? Just like, no, it's fucking numb. It's a way to avoid being in your body. For doing things like, oh, I'm getting a tattoo and it hurts. It's like, oh yeah, it keeps you on your skin. Sex is only skin deep. Pain is skin deep. Like that kind of pain, like physical pain like that. Eating is like skin deep, and it helps you avoid the deep, like gut feelings and emotions that you could be feeling and processing. So it keeps you out of your body, even though it makes it seem like you're doing something with your body.
Right. Like there's some things like people talk about like comfort foods. Yeah. And things that, give you like a serotonin rush or whatever. Yeah. So Anthony is assuming, oh, you're jerking off for that, when he specifically said it's an escape.
Yeah, it's an escape.
I just do that so I don't think about things.
Yeah, and like you will get like an endorphin or an adrenaline rush from adrenaline from pain, endorphins from pain, endorphins from sex, oxytocin from sex with another person, but all of those things, they're just hormones. They aren't really your emotions.
Heading into June 12th, Anthony gets to talking about Michelle Obama again. We've shifted gears and we're on a different day. We're back to talking about politics for just a little bit.
Is it politics, though?
No. He starts by reacting to clips he's seen of Michelle talking about her childhood and experiences and reduces her stories to whining.
Wow.
Anthony obviously sees a successful black woman as having more privilege than him, and on top of the supposed influence he fears she may have over her husband, Anthony spends most of his time complaining, or whining, about Michelle than he does Barack.
I don't like her whining.
Yeah, but what is she going to do if she's in the White House, really?
And she said that taking care of African American causes is her number one priority. Number one priority. And if she has influence over her husband, which I think he's whipped, I think she does, that means what? That means what for Whitey? Nothing.
What's your number one priority?
Yeah.
Going out. Having fun. Have a good time all the time, Marty. That's my philosophy.
So what the fuck do you want? Is the thing. If advancing issues for black people and all this is the number one priority and you're not the number one priority, what if you were the number one priority? What would you want them to do for you?
It's like a kid at an ice cream party. He's gotten his cup of ice cream, he's eaten it, and he's like, but then he sees another kid getting their first cup of ice cream, and he's like, what about me? I don't have ice cream right this second.
You ate your fucking ice
What
cream.
about my ice cream?
Shut the fuck up, little kid. You ate it.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, like, I do love that they do ask him. It's like, what are your priorities?
What the
like,
fuck do you want?
well, yeah, what do you want out of this?
What do you think? What do you wish? Do you wish you would have said, like, my number one priority is Anthony Cumia having a nice time out that night?
Yeah, like, ultimately, I think he just wants to be left alone.
Then again, who is Bush? And, in fairness, I mean, who are they hanging out with? They're not exactly hanging out with regular people either.
Yeah, but I don't want my tax money
Oh my God, you haven't.
going to the poor people.
You're the worst. You know what? You're the worst. You were a working Joe
Like
for
social
so many
program.
years.
Yeah, exactly. A working Joe.
But here's the deal: you got to understand. At this point in your life, you're going to die with a lot of money in the bank.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm spending like a drunken sailor.
You can't. You don't have to worry about that crap. It's frustrating, but we have enough money.
I'm with a high-end chick. That costs some money.
Who's saying that you have enough money?
Opie is saying you have enough money. I feel like, I know this is all like a bit, but I can't help but feel...
But is it?
I can't help but feel like Opie, who grew up poor,
Yeah.
sees someone like Anthony being, I don't want to help poor people, and just being like,
He
the
makes
fuck?
such a good point. You're gonna die with so much money in your bank.
Yeah.
Like, spend the money. Like, and he's claiming that he's spending the money. I don't think he is.
He's not!
He doesn't buy furniture. He doesn't buy things.
At this point in 2008, he says his huge house is about half full still. And this is things that Ange, fucking Keith the cop's wife, has been furnishing this house for him. I
Like-
assume he is paying for it, but like, yeah, the only thing I ever hear him talk about spending money on is gambling. And
Yeah.
that's cool. I won more money. I went home with more money. Then what?
Yeah.
You're gonna sit on it?
Especially because he doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
And it's like,
He's not spending it on Jill. Like, they're going on a vacation, but like, that's about it.
it makes me wonder, when it comes to hoarding wealth
Yeah.
and actual money, not just like houses and expensive things. When
Right.
it comes to hoarding wealth in like a bank account, what happens after that person dies if nobody claims the money?
Right.
What happens to that money?
I think the bank just takes it.
It's just the bank's money?
I think so.
That probably happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck banks, but I already knew
It's
that.
terrible. Yeah.
I don't know what his bank account looks like.
Right.
But from the implication, Opie thinks he has a shit ton of money that he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Like,
So,
he has a couple cars. He has a bunch of guns. I think he has a smaller house outside his mansion, so he has 2 places to live. But what kills me is that you'll hear about, and I wish I would have had it. I didn't know we would have been talking about it. There's a video from Anthony doing a show with Gavin where they're talking about how bad Opie is with money. And it's seriously just, Opie goes on vacations, but he also has a wife and kids and pets and things to care for and all this. And he never really gives a really
Yeah.
good example of how he's bad with money.
You know, that makes me think bad with money is a really loaded term for just someone who isn't hoarding wealth.
Yeah.
Bad with money means that you're not, like, avoiding spending. But when you, like you're saying, when you have a wife and kids and pets and stuff, you have to spend money to keep everyone comfortable.
I know one thing he criticized him for is, like, he goes on vacations for bragging rights. He doesn't even want to go. It's like, how do you know that?
What a weird assumption.
I know.
I'm just going on vacation to brag that I went on vacation. What's braggadocious about that?
It's like, I spend time in Turks and Caicos. It's like, dude, you go to Turks and Caicos too. Like
Like,
why
it's
would
not-
you assume that you're not going there for the same reason?
That's like saying you bought a big house for bragging rights.
Yeah, it's like you bought a big house
Yeah,
that you don't need, and you don't even live in half of it. Like he says, he lives in the east wing of his giant house.
oh my god, he's like fucking the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and the middle is like kind of fair game or whatever. And then Keith lives in the West Wing.
So Keith is the beast from the Beauty.
I suppose.
No. Never go into the West Wing. Never go. Yes, the West Wing you're not supposed to go into.
Okay,
that's where the Enchanted Rose is.
Oh.
Keith is the Enchanted Rose.
Oh.
And if Anthony doesn't find true love before the final petal off of Keith falls, then everyone will be stuck as a piece of furniture.
Everyone will be stuck as a gun. They're all just guns.
What if he turned them all into guns?
No!
Oh my god, is this the new, like, post-apocalyptic version of Beauty and the Beast?
Oh god.
Everyone was just... This is such a funny idea! Okay,
You look so excited
it's
about
a post-apocalyptic... Okay, this guy is a shitheel. He's an alt-right shitheel, right?
Yeah.
Not Anthony, but yes. But in my story...
Not in your story.
There is a character who's a shitheel who, a witch comes up and is
Anthony Boomia.
Badthony Boomia.
Oh, Boomia, spelled B-O-O-M, like
Yeah,
boom.
boo, but also boom. And so, like, the witch comes up and she's like, you just, like, almost committed a hate crime on me. I'm cursing you, and now you're a beast, and all of your friends who are super close to you and sort of Nazi apologists, they're all turned into your possessions. Oh, all of your possessions are guns? I guess all your friends are guns now.
Oh, God. Nick Fuentes is a gun. Gavin McGinnis is a gun.
Nick Fuentes is Chip. Mrs. Potts is Mrs. Glock?
Chrissy Meyer.
Chrissy, okay, sure.
The one female comedian he, like, knows.
We need gun puns, but yeah.
Oh, gun puns. I see.
A.R. Keith?
I like that. I like A.R. Keith.
Oh no, but this isn't about them. This is about a completely different family of people.
That's right. So I had to look this up. But did you know that June 12th is Child Labor Day? It is also International Falafel Day, Raggedy Ann and Andy Day, and also Carbon Belch Day.
It's Carbon Belch Day.
Carbon Belch Day.
What's that mean?
I didn't know that was today.
One of the conservative groups that says global warming is not real because no temperature has gone up in the last 8 years wants us all to drive farther today, use more gas, try and create as much of a gigantic carbon footprint as we can to prove the other guy's wrong.
Well, I'm on it.
Okay.
So I had to look Carbon Belch Day up because, I don't know, I wanted to see if it was like a recurring thing. All the results were about 2008.
Oh.
So I'm guessing it didn't catch on. He's not usually this in your face about being an ass, but he's always been an ass who is the kind of dick who will just do something because you tell him not to do it. It's not constructive or productive. The sole purpose is to be a troll, and seeing as how they groomed their audience to be an army of trolls, it shouldn't be surprising. It's like, I voted for Trump because he was an asshole.
It's a bit.
Yeah, that was the one thing. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna drive a fucking Escalade around for a bit. You're gonna do that anyway.
Yeah.
And what the fuck? You just want to get the fuck home. You're not gonna drive farther or anything. You're just gonna you're gonna get home and you're never gonna leave.
You're just gonna say you're gonna do it, tweet about that you're gonna do it, tweet that you did do it, and then you went so far, and then you just don't do it.
Just don't do it. They start talking about this young man who was initially murdered and set on fire. It was like a young teen or whatever. And it gets to talking about Richard Pryor and his infamous self-immolation attempted suicide in 1980.
Oh.
Yeah, like for...
Attempt.
Well, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, for the longest time, the misconception was, he was doing drugs, he was freebasing, and he set himself on fire by accident. No, that was a suicide attempt, and he had every intention of dying.
What was his religion? Do you know offhand?
I don't.
Interesting.
But yeah, it luckily didn't work, and he lived.
I guess it might depend on who you ask.
Well, I mean, I think
being burnt.
Yeah, I mean, he was burnt pretty bad too.
Yeah.
He didn't die until like 2005, though. So I mean, I guess he was.
I hope he did better after
enough.
that. Yeah.
Opie sees this as an opportunity to try out some real weak edgelord humor.
Oh, that's the best kind.
That's a real suicide attempt, not this dopey pill taking crap.
Yeah. He's the real deal.
We get it. You need attention. I'll be at the hospital after my job. Ugh. Stupid pill popping crap. If you're gonna kill yourself, light yourself on fire and jump off the Brooklyn Bridge and hope the fire goes out before it kills you.
Real, imagine that one.
Make it interesting.
You'd be going, oh, please hit the water. It can't be soon enough.
Did you hear who tried to kill themselves? They took a whole bottle of Tylenol. Did they? Shut up.
Tylenol.
We get it. You need more attention from me. Go away.
That's funny.
It's so hack. No one is really killing themselves when they do the bottle of aspirin. I'm sorry.
You think they just?
And then they pick up the phone. I took a all right. I'll be out of the movie in another half hour. I'll be right over.
I'll be there.
Oh, God.
This is, before it even goes any further, this is sort of a good indicator of when they say that women are more likely to attempt suicide. Men are more likely to be successful at it. And this is sort of a good example of that, where they're saying that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And men having more often the means to do
that's true.
more damage than women at times. And the commitment where it's like, if you're gonna do, it's like this, it's toxic masculinity of like, if you're gonna do it like a man, essentially.
It comes up. Yeah. It's interesting. Opie's relationship with mental illness is worth exploring also. I wish we had more examples to go off of, but we heard about him talking about living with his mom, who...
Everyone lived with his mom.
Yeah, this huge family, who's like one of 7 or 8 kids, something like that. She had these thoughts of like intrusive thoughts and was eventually put in assisted living because of it, and the impact that this had on Opie. And Opie doesn't have patience for people with mental illness. And I hear that Opie is trying to, or at least we'll say here in a bit, that he's going for a bit. But it feels more than a bit. He wouldn't hark on it as much as he does if it was a bit.
Yeah.
Eventually, and I doubt we'll ever get to examples of it, but when Fez, of Ron and Fez, starts to deal more and more with what he eventually finds out is autism, and it starts to affect the show, and there's sometimes not even an episode will go by where Fez won't just start crying during an episode, and he just won't talk for most of the episode, and it's really just like the Ron and whoever the producer is kind of going back and forth, and Fez will occasionally chime in. Opie doesn't deal with that either. He takes shots at Fez, decides to start mocking him more, and it definitely does seem like Opie just has hang-ups about mental illness. And when Anthony will go ahead and try to claim that Opie himself has mental illnesses, gets extremely defensive about it.
I was going to say, it sounds like Opie is scared of mental illness.
Yeah.
Especially with how close to home it hit.
He did say in one video that he has been tested for a lot of things, so he is very concerned about it being a possibility.
Yeah.
Like it being inherited or something like that. He doesn't get into detail. I think he said he tested negative for most. I don't think he says what he is dealing with. Anthony has gone on record for saying he thinks Opie is autistic.
What does autism mean when Anthony says it?
It's an insult.
Yeah.
You know, it's these things that I didn't like. I'm going to chalk him up as being, examples of him being autistic.
Do you think it's just attention seeking?
Oh, I know people are going to be pissed at me, but yes. Yes.
You just sit there and don't have a headache.
Yes, I do, Jimmy. As soon as they do it, then they start calling all their loved ones. Now we have to deal with your crap, thanks.
Do you think they're kind of thinking of how people will talk about it, like how tragic?
Yes! Then you're annoyed because you're like, you know what? I have a job interview tomorrow. I needed to get a good night's sleep. I'll be right over. Ugh. And make believe I care.
God, we should have appreciated him more, man. But he's okay. We're going to...
Oh, God, it's the worst. Not that I know anything about this. Oh, I hate attention-seeking asses.
I just want to make note of Anthony's kind of courtesy laughs throughout that bit.
If you fail at attempted suicide in some people's eyes, in these folks' eyes, you're just doing it for attention.
Yeah.
as opposed to all of the complexities that come with, oh shit, wait, no, I don't want to do this actually.
Yeah.
Or not having the means.
Mm-hmm.
Or realizing, wait, how do I step back from this at whatever stage?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the only, you know, if you're a man, be a man, and like, you know, men don't want attention, you know, just like fucking get it done. You just get the job done. It's just like, that's very sad.
Yeah. The bit, and I put that in quotes, the bit is obviously tasteless, but it's also pretty disingenuous. The ugh sound is a Jim Norton thing that infiltrated the show, and eventually everyone started doing it.
Oh.
Same with the we get it. Ope is joking about suicidal people doing a bad Jim Norton impression, while Norton is sitting there as someone who has shared stories about dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts himself. Ope feels a little self-conscious and needs Jim to back him up.
What do you think about the whole suicide thing, Jimmy?
Depends on what it is. When I used to cut myself, it was attention. I was young. I was 18. I wasn't grown up, but 16 to 15.
I just think the people that really want to kill themselves kill themselves. I mean...
Yeah, so a lot of insight in that one.
Yeah, it's just like, if you really want to do it, then just do it. That's like saying, if you really want to get out of poverty, just do it.
Yeah,
it's
just
like
pick yourself up from your bootstraps.
It's so easy. It's so easy to go against every device in your fucking brain that says don't do it, and you just do it. It's just like, it's very sad the people who do succeed.
Yeah,
like, do you guys not realize it? It is extremely sad. We need everyone here. Period. Like, I don't give a shit how shitty of a person you are. If your goal is like, oh, wow, I am such a shitty person because all these people say so, and you know what? I need to just, like, take myself out of the picture. It's a lie. It is a fucking lie. There is still hope for you to change if you are doing, like, supposedly shitty things.
Yeah.
You know, but I imagine you're just being really fucking hard on yourself.
Yeah. The bit continues for a few more painfully unfunny minutes before they get a phone call from a listener picking apart the details of Opie's jokes, and he eventually caves.
Hey, I know people have died, obviously, you know, doing the pill thing. I do know that.
Well, of course.
Sure.
But I think they're taking, you know, more than Tylenol.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Miss Selfish. I'm just going to go play golf in the morning. I guess I'm not. 90 degrees and sunny. I'll be in the waiting room at the hospital. Thumbs up.
Depends on what kind of demons someone's dealing with. Because a lot of people are just attention whores, and a lot of people are just really, they're just really hurt and they want to go. They're very depressing. It all depends on the person.
By the way, the last 10 minutes was just my attempt at humor, so relax.
The most painful thing of listening to the bit for me personally was hearing how hard Opie was trying. This is not his brand of humor.
Yeah, it's super dark. Like,
yeah, and he's just trying to keep up.
And he's shitting on the people who are the victim in the situation. Like, you're shitting on the lowest common denominator there.
Yeah. A woman calls in and educates Opie before this clip about, you know, the harm of taking a bottle full of Tylenol.
It can fuck you up.
Yeah, and educates him for minutes. And to their credit, they do let her talk, but the whole time you just hear Opie, like, sulking almost. Like, Anthony and Jim can just go off on tangents, really dark subject matter for minutes on end, and everyone finds it hilarious. The second Opie tries it, you don't get callers talking about how funny it is. Everyone is calling up being like, well, Ope, you're pretty misinformed on this. And he immediately has to go, well, you know, obviously I know. And he has to backtrack, and he has to backpedal. And it's like, it's just sad that he feels like he had to go down that road, and still, even at that point, still tries to hang on to the bit when Jim is laughing sometimes because he can relate. Is the thing. He often wondered, like, what will people say about me if I do it? Like, that's why he was laughing when Opie was talking about, like, you know, people calling up and everything. It was like, oh, because, you know, I did that, and it's funny to him personally.
Yeah.
He doesn't find it funny, but, you know, it's funny because it's true kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he says that one thing that really changed his outlook on it was he overheard two of his friends talking about a third friend who had taken their own life. and just how, like, quick in the conversation it was. I'm just like, oh man, that's awful. And then it just kind of, they just started talking about other things.
Yeah.
And Jim was like, oh wow, that's probably what it would be like if I did that.
Yeah.
Might not be worth it after all, kind of deal.
And this preconceived notion that people who hope to have attention from an attempt, whether it's successful or not, as if they're not hurting. Anybody who is dealing with ideation to whatever degree, they're hurting in some way. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter if they succeed or not. They deserve help and compassion and love. Back when, like, in middle school, when, like, I learned about, suicide's a thing. One, I had my own issues I was dealing with in terms of ideation and intrusive thoughts, too. And it really sort of boiled down to, like, I could never, because that's just so selfish. And it's like this narrative about suicide that it's like people who are left afterward, the people like around you, there's this like jokey narrative of like, oh, it's so selfish that they took their own life. When in fact, it's the complete opposite. Yeah, you have to feel hard emotions about this event that happened to this person. This person may have well thought that they were the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and that they were doing everyone a favor.
They thought they could have thought they're doing everyone a favor by taking themselves out of the picture. It is not selfish at all.
No.
They're trying their fucking best. Oh, and I understand, yes, it will affect your day, and that is hard because of all the emotions that'll come up.
Yeah, that's valid how you feel about it. It's valid, sure.
Yeah, but it's not about you.
Their feelings were valid, too.
Their fucking feelings were valid, too.
Can we just point out how attention-seeking Opie and Anthony are?
They have their own fucking radio show.
Opie hasn't been doing radio since, I think, 2016. I think that's when he got fired for filming an employee on his show in the bathroom. Just figured I'd let everyone know that's what happened there. One of their producers, and he was a booker on O&A, he was in the bathroom and he decided to film him over a stall, and the person complained and Opie got fired. But since then, he's been doing a podcast. And after the podcast was canceled, he's been filming his live thing on YouTube. Yeah. Streaming or whatever. Someone asked Opie how retirement was treating him, right? Opie responded, what are you talking about? I'm doing these streams all the time. I'm not retired.
Yeah.
Are you getting paid for this? What is this?
Yeah, I don't know.
This isn't a job. This is just for you.
He's trying, maybe.
Like, I don't know, like, going out of your way to say this isn't a show, this is just like a hang, like, it feels like you just really still crave attention.
And that's okay.
It is okay, yeah.
It's literally human nature to need attention.
Yeah, I wouldn't be saying this if he wasn't so critical of other people doing it. After about a half hour of taking phone calls and discussing Norton's opinions on things, Tom, a man who's been calling in periodically for a year, calls in.
We got Tom in White Plains. How are you, Tom?
Not doing too good anymore. And I want to say you guys entertained me for quite a bit.
What's the matter?
I just was going to say goodbye.
What?
Tom called the boys for the first time in 2007. They noticed his voice sounded a little different and soon found out Tom was losing about half of his lungs due to a disease. After talking to Tom for a few, Opie tells Tom to call in every Friday to let them know he's still alive. This becomes Is Tom Alive Fridays. It's a bit. He calls in every Friday and says, hey guys, I'm still here. Mm-hmm. He doesn't call in every Friday, but he does keep the bit going for a while. After a number of calls, Tom says if the breathing gets too difficult, he'll take his own life. The boys joke that Tom should do it on the show, and Tom promises he will. Now it's 2008, and the Piper has come to collect.
Jesus.
Well, what the hell are you implying here, Tom?
Well, you said we could do this on XM.
Do what?
Well, if you're talking about suicide, it's just a dumb radio goof, dude. I mean, nobody wants you to do that.
Yeah, I don't think we really want you to,
For real, we don't.
Off yourself on the air. Jesus.
Well, I promised.
Well,
We didn't take it for real, man.
you can break a promise. When were you planning on doing this?
Well, I have a weapon loaded.
What?
Cocked.
Oh, Jesus.
And it wouldn't take more than half pound of pressure. But I don't want to bring anybody down.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Was that the same episode as them talking about suicide?
Yes. It happened about a half hour after that bit. It did feel a little cathartic. Because it's like, y'all made your fucking bed. You fucking talked about and you made light about the situation.
Like...
And now you're facing it dead in the eyes.
This, like, genuinely, like, what the fuck?
What the fuck did y'all expect? The boys try their best to talk Tom down, joke around, and make small talk. Anthony asks the important questions.
What kind of weapon do you have there, Tom?
I have a choice. A Walter PPK or a Beretta 9mm.
Dude, why don't you do this?
I wouldn't use those.
Or an AR-15.
Why don't you? I mean, look. Why don't you just at least let us do something like have some kind of a get together with you or something like that? Like seriously, like in the studio, bring
A
chicks
get
in.
together.
Not a goodbye party, but just something to liven things up a little bit. This is just morbid. You don't want to do this.
Yeah, this goes on for a really long time.
A really long time, and at no point did they try any actual de-escalation.
Jim does.
It sort of sounds like he's trying.
Jim tries to talk Tom into coming into studio and hanging out, but Tom is suspicious and thinks people will be there waiting for him. Opie tries to convince Tom to let them call for help, but Tom isn't interested. Anthony tries to level with Tom, saying that there are plenty of people out there who have it worse than he does. The crisis is eventually averted, and they convince Tom to come down to the studio soon. But of course, things don't go down without a hitch.
Unload your guns.
Well,
How about you unload your guns live on the show?
Yeah. Not through the barrel.
not to the barrel?
Not through the barrel. Just, pull out the mag and get the round out of the chamber.
Whoops. Hello?
Yeah.
I'm here.
What was that?
There was one in the chamber.
That was... You just fired your... What was that, the 380?
No, it's another... It was another 9mm, Walter.
Jeez.
Was that just a round that was fired?
Yeah, it did sound like it.
Where did it go, Tom?
I think I just killed my neighbor.
Well, I certainly hope not.
He's joking.
Yeah.
As Anthony will tell you, as responsible gun owner man, that even if you take the mag out of the gun, there still might be one in the chamber.
Yeah.
So you can't just go around, and pull the trigger just because the mag's not in it, because it's probably still loaded.
Yeah.
And it was. There was still a fucking bullet in the chamber, so we fucking shot a live round.
Yeah.
On the radio. After the boys head over to XM, producer Steve C. informs them that CBS management does not want Tom in their studios or to call their show ever again, which pisses the boys off immensely at their perceived lack of humanity and compassion. Speaking of no compassion, a caller makes an observation.
Hey, I wanted to give you guys, props to, talking him down. But I also wanted to point out that, once again, Anthony doesn't really kind of show, you can tell he was scared, but doesn't really show that any emotion, just kind of cracks jokes and,
That's me.
about other things, doesn't really show its feelings.
Yep. Anthony was looking for the distraction the whole time. Oh, what kind of guns are they?
What can we do to just get away from this real situation?
Yeah, didn't really want to face that one. Which,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It would be one thing if somebody called in and was just like, hey, I'm gonna do it. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck? If they hadn't made it a bit. The only thing you're willing to give attention to is if someone's willing to do it in a funny way.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
a way that's like a spectacle. If it's something quiet and nobody really is gonna be the wiser, oh, that's not big enough. That's not sensational.
Since shots were fired, even though no one was injured, the cops had to be called. Steve C is working behind the scenes while the boys do their show and slips a confidential note to Opie.
A tactical team? Holy shit!
We maybe shouldn't warn him. Jeez.
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't blurt that out, but yeah. Yeah, I know.
Well, what the fuck? What? I just what the? Yeah, what the?
Yeah, perhaps you don't want to,
All right,
give things away.
Yeah, the whole point is so he doesn't know, but if he's listening to the show...
Yeah. Now he could very well go ahead and do it if he thinks he's in danger now.
Luckily, I don't think Tom heard the warning and was able to be apprehended without issue and consents to spend the next week or so in the hospital. A truck driver calls, empathizing with Tom not being able to afford the care he needs. That was one thing he was talking about.
Wow, it's like the same things happen over and over again. Maybe if we could give people the care that they need in, like, terminal illness or disability, then they wouldn't think the need to resort to these things.
Yeah. He's talking about having a wife and kid who have these disorders, and he has to spend like $250,000, and he can't afford it, so... He's empathizing with Tom. It's just like, I can understand why he would want to do this or whatever. And this is the last clip we have here.
That's where all my money goes. To buy medicine, just to keep him out of pain.
And we don't need universal health care or anything, right?
Universal health care stinks.
No, we need something, though, man.
No, we don't.
Something.
World needs ditch diggers, too,
What an ass.
Half of what Anthony does is just reference the 10 movies he likes. It gets really, really frustrating.
It's sort of like if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. It's like if you don't have anything, even funny to say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm just going to quote Caddyshack again.
People aren't
How many Caddyshack references can I throw in? Jesus Christ.
The bottom line is people are fucking... I'm not saying that... I'm not a socialist by any stretch. But when people can't fucking pay for medical insurance, it's a shitty country. When people are when we leave each other swinging in the wind.
Jimmy Karl Marx Norton.
But we wonder why. We're like, well, how could anybody just shoot a random civilian? How could anybody do a home invasion But we have no compassion for each other. Like when it comes to that, we don't want to be inconvenienced at all when it comes to helping somebody else. And we wonder why people could easily commit acts of barbarism when they're just like one step farther on the indifference scale than we are. Our indifference is a non-action, and theirs is just violent. I mean, we wonder, we set no example as to why people should give a fuck. It's to leave each other swinging like that and not have any sense of, and I'm not talking about for leeches and bloodsuckers, but for people that really are down in their luck, people that got fucking kids and shit, like, whatever, man. We become a fucking selfish cunt society.
Yeah. Well, as long as it drives us closer to the brink of anarchy, I'm happy. That's what I'm waiting for. Complete and total breakdown of society. Oh, I just relish the day.
Then what, Anthony? What are you gonna do?
You have an excuse to kill people?
That's genuinely all I get from that.
What else could you?
Like, I used to think back in the day, anarchy sounds great because then we can rebuild.
Right, yeah.
But that's not what anarchy means to so many people. No. Anarchy means the purge.
Yeah, exactly.
Like...
Yeah. I it's like half of me realizes and recognizes this is Anthony's nervous attempts at just trying to break tension, and he doesn't really... See, this is the thing. Jim is bringing real shit to the show, and Anthony can't argue with Jim.
No.
Because he doesn't have any concrete ideas or beliefs.
Yeah.
He is just... Everything he says is, echoing someone else. We've talked about this.
He's memeing.
He just memes and just repeats things he's heard other people say and, documentaries he's seen and everything. He doesn't have any concrete opinions. But Jim seems more tuned in.
Yeah.
And actually recognizing hardships people go through because he actually pays attention, and Anthony doesn't pay attention or care about anybody but himself.
And that's the point that Jim was saying. Like, we are so selfish.
Yeah.
The true selfishness is leaving people who need help, like suicidal people or disabled people or just marginalized communities in general, just leaving people to fend for themselves.
People have often asked why, when Anthony got fired, he didn't just do a show with Jim. Because people were like, oh, you know, they always have such great comedic chemistry, way better than Opie and Anthony ever had. But I mean, Jim is contracted with Sirius at that point, so he just can't leave Opie. He has to stay there. But I often think about this, and we talked about this on the episode with Ron and Colin, that show would not work because you don't have the binding there of Opie to fix it. And honestly, I don't think it would work even without that. Like, do you think they would get into, like, arguments? It wouldn't work. Jimmy would body Anthony with things, and then Anthony would just have to do what? Make another Caddyshack reference? And that wraps up this week's episode of O&A Detox. Thank you very much for checking us out this week. And if you miss Antholini, because we didn't mention him at all this episode.
Oh, were we going to?
No, not this one. Maybe the next one? Maybe not. I don't know. They're kind of falling out of the limelight. Probably more comfortable for Anthony anyway. Probably not super comfortable talking about his love life on the radio anyway. So we'll see how that goes.
Boo.
Oh, I know. The people love Antholini.
Imagine if he had ended up on a Real Housewives.
Oh my God.
Show.
The Real Housewives of Long Island, whatever the fuck.
I mean, that was a thing, wasn't there?
Long Island?
Yeah.
I know. I think there was a Jersey one, right?
Oh, definitely Jersey.
Yeah, that would have been great. I mean, Jill already has the experience being on Married by America. She was on a whole fuck season of that.
I'm just saying.
Doing the whole talking head thing. You know, just talking about your relationship and how you hope it's going to go. And they could have done that. Anthony could have been a fucking... Yeah. Could have been a star. Except for whatever the fuck he's doing now. I often wonder what his exes think of him now. Especially Jill.
Yeah.
Like, do you just look back at that time period and be like, what the fuck?
I imagine she looks back at it and being like, tried to fix him.
They all did, didn't they? That's the thing.
People love a fixer-upper.
And we can add to that list now. Ron tried. Opie tried. Jim tried.
Keep trying, though.
Yeah.
I honestly, unless someone is in breach of your boundaries in some way.
Right, yeah.
Or harming you, or doing something that just does not align with your values and you choose to step away, which I respect.
Yeah.
Keep reaching out to people. Whether it be they're in a real dark place, or they're just being an asshole and need someone to compassionately, in whatever way that looks like to them, to reach out to them and be like, hey, because I feel like all of these reaching out moments on the air are all nice and dandy, and good examples, but if I were gonna try to confront you about, like, hey, you know, Mountain Dew isn't necessarily the best thing that you could be drinking all the time. Right. Do you really think that you would be the most receptive, like, in a on the air kind of headspace?
Be like, what? Yeah, I'd probably want to make a goof out of it.
Yeah, but at the same time, Anthony's the kind of person that's not really going to let people get close unless they're working on something together.
That's true. Yeah.
So it makes sense they'd use that as an opportunity.
I mean, as soon as those mics go off, at the end of the day, he's fucking out of there. He's gone. He doesn't spend time with anybody.
Yeah.
He goes straight the fuck home. And he doesn't talk to people when he gets home. He just plays his video games, shoots his guns, does whatever, and keeps to himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's changed. That was the deal in the 2000s, and the time we're listening to here. I have no idea what he does now. But until next time, on O&A Detox, this has been Muse and Neb and Muse, and we'll leave you this week with this.
Thanks for calling the Anthony Cumia Suicide Hotline, where the prominent radio host will listen to your cry for help and with his patented 5-step solution, will hold your hand through this troubling time.
Number 1, get way too excited about the suicide note.
What does your note say? I don't want pity.
What does your note say?
It says, hey, have a great run. My time is now. Have fun.
Number 2, insult the author after the note is read.
That's it?
That's it.
You need to punch that up a little.
You'll realize it's not about you. It was never about you. It was always about Anthony and how he was going to get his hands on your gun.
Number 3, get too inquisitive about weapons.
What kind of weapon do you have there, Tom?
I have a choice. Walter PPK or a Beretta 9mm. Or an AR-15.
Number 4, after shots are fired, make sure to find out which gun it was.
Whoops. Hello?
What was that, the 380?
It was another 9mm.
And 5, ask for the weapons.
Can I have your guns?
One will probably be used as an evidence, but I'll put the other one away. And I'll will it to you, Anthony.
Fantastic. So if you're thinking about taking that big plunge, why not will all your guns over to Anthony from the Anthony Cumia Suicide Hotline?
Oh, God. That's morbid.